You're listening to White Noise with your host, Drip, 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 Drip.
White Noise, year 2. I think this is episode 9. We are
I believe
back.
so.
I'm your host, Davis, aka Drip. As always, I'm joined by Cal, producer Cal, founder of Black Wrestling. We are here this week to talk about all sorts of things. It was a busy week.
Facts.
A whole lot happened.
Whole lot.
Mainly in the world of entertainment. Not much wrestling talk this week. Even though, like you said on Off-White, this is Revolution Day.
No, well, it's sad because it's Revolution Day, but it's only so many black people in there. But
however, the man who said the revolution will be televised is on the Revolution show, so that it for back-to-back years. No, 3 in a row. I think he's been on it for 3 straight years. Shout Turkey Starks.
Anyway.
He whooped Chris Jericho's ass at the announce desk.
Which is sad.
Chris Jericho and I posted the image on Black Wrestling's Twitter. Whoop that trick because that's what he was doing. Like, we can't say bitch. We try and get some radio play. Like, you know,
if you're on the YouTube and you don't know why we would be hype off of that, you need to start subscribing to the Patreon. Shouts to Keeks. Shouts out to the Cruiserweight Classics because those Patreon episodes always got a little something extra. Anyway,
I was going to say, do you want to Because do you want to get to the news or do you want to get the main event, which is Creed 3? I'll leave it up to you.
Let's get to some news and then we'll get to Creed 3. Let's get to some news.
Let's start off with so the first images of the weekend and the Rolling Stone.
Oh my gosh!
Did you get to read this article by chance?
Wait,
Cal?
the Idol article, the torture porn. I'll tell you this: like, as a
journalist, which we spent listen to the Patreon version to understand journalism.
Oh my god, HBO's The Idol, like for real. I not to say that I didn't care about this show, but it was one of those shows where it's like I kind of understand what The Weeknd and Sam Levinson on HBO would look like, but I wasn't prepared for this woman directed X amount of content for this show, and
Amy
then we deaded all of that to then spend X amount more. They said they had like kombucha and shit on tap.
Yeah, it's apparently supposed to be 40 million. Then it ended up totaling 75 with these reshoots. So when it was announced, I initially thought it was just straight up Sam Levinson at the helm, writing, directing like he did all of Euphoria season 2, because Euphoria season 1 was more of a group effort. Mm-hmm. And once it proved to be a critical hit, ratings hit for HBO, he got kind of the Sam Esmail treatment, not to do another Sam, but like Mr. Robot season 1 was kind of a team effort in terms of he was the showrunner of the entire thing. But season 2, he was like, I'm going to write and direct every single episode. And he did that, I think, for the rest of the series as well. And Sam Levinson, I think, wanted to be in that vein of a true television auteur of it's my words, it's, they're my shots, it's my way in this way, not having to worry about like another writer's input, another director's input and all that. But to find out that I don't remember ever reading that Amy Simons was attached to be the director. So that was something that was brand new to find out that she was directing these episodes, and it had a whole different tone of a parody of this kind of pop star lifestyle, and only for Sam Levinson to come in and be like, no, that's not the vision I had, which makes sense. Given how it was The Weeknd and Sam Levinson, you think of like two of the darkest minds of the modern day, or like, we don't want this to be wink, wink. We want this shit to be torture porn, like you said.
But don't forget
the article said to be.
They said the one line was, The Weeknd said that the show had too much of a feminine lens or something like that. Like, it was just really odd. It was very odd writing and odd terminology for now, I guess. But I don't know. They were also making comments about Sam Levinson kind of being like, hey, what's HBO going to do? Kill the project? Euphoria 3 is going to be on the way. I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
And that is the danger of giving an auteur power. The studio system learned that when something like Heaven's Gate, a famous box office bomb in Hollywood history, killed United Artists because Michael Cimino made The Deer Hunter.
Ooh.
And that got all these Oscars and all that. And they're like, what do you want to do next? He's like, I have this grand epic Western where we're going to have to like build these towns and wait 8 hours so the sun can be in the right direction. And it's got to be 3 hours or 3.5 hours because that's how long the story is. And that's the problem when we get to like, director bullshit. And majority of the time they are these straight white males who have these singular visions of my way is the only way. There is no highway. Like, again, like you just said, is the studio going to come and shut us down? They're not going to afford to lose me. I can because what's he going to do? Again, like Amazon wants more shows. I could go over there. That's the bidding war of entertainment today is one studio fumbles you on to the next one. Because it's about that. He, unfortunately, in some eyes, and I agree as well, like Sam Levinson is a draw in itself because from the mind of Euphoria is how this show was kind of sold. It's from the man who brought you Euphoria is teaming with the man who brought you Beauty Behind the Madness and Starboy. And that's why I was shocked that people reacted this way to the article, not the substance of it. I'm like, what do you expect when this is the man that gives you Wicked Games and I can't feel my face? And I'm like, you know what you're signing up for. I expected dark shit, and I know what that says about me as we spoke a few weeks ago.
I wasn't going to mention anything about that trip, but I think
like as someone looking for this, like how I looked forward to anything by Nicholas Winding Refn, and that's when I questioned myself as we talked about Copenhagen Cowboy was like the depravity of man. But it's like it's again like the torture porn aspect is not something I'm into, but like the idea of like darkness again on TV or in a movie, it's like. Again, it's a fictionalized story. I don't endorse a lot of stuff they were trying to do on the set with like her sticking an egg inside her and trying to walk. God. Yeah, it would like I'm like that doesn't even make any sense. And then
they said that didn't happen because they couldn't figure out how to make it happen.
No shit, they couldn't figure out how to make it happen. I'm like,
which is wild.
I'm like, why would you even think that's
why
possible?
Even? Why even put that? But it's really.
And it's a great article too. It's a real like
it's a really good article.
And and I just told this to someone too, like this show is still going to come out because like Sam Levinson said, like HBO show is not going to shelve this. If anything, it'll be like, do you know how much publicity we're going to get from like what this show might be a chaotic shit show?
It's spectacle.
People are going to turn into live tweet and be like, this show's a mess. And they're going to, and the irony is like, they're going to be like, it's a mess, but I love it. Like, that's what's going to happen. Like that's
the Weeknd.
Well, not even that. It's just like people love to see someone like Sam Levinson, or most people crash and burn after they bite off more than they can chew. And Sam Levinson is a nepo baby as well. If you want to throw in that element of his dad being the man who did Rain Man and Diner, so he already has a lot of like the white privilege. Like, let's see this guy fall.
No, I think you're right, but I think don't underestimate the Weeknd of it all. No. I think. Because there's two things. One, you can write off any weird shit as, the Weeknd's just fucking weird. And he doesn't have to even tweet about it. Or you can play the 180 of, well, the Weeknd's been there. He's seen that shit happen before. Because remember, he made sure they already wrote some shit in the show dissing Rolling Stone. And he tweeted a whole fucking scene.
That's what and that was... crazy in itself. I'm like, and it made me think again, like, because everything is wrestling in society. I'm like, is this everything is wrestling? I'm like, is this like the greatest marketing of all time for them to sell this show that again has been delayed, like the article says? Because I remember the trailer came out the like middle of last year or maybe early last year.
There were a couple,
shelved. And at the start of this year when we were talking about TV, I'm like, I'm looking forward to the show just to see what it could be again because the Weeknd's attached. I like Euphoria, so therefore I'll watch. Right. Sam Levinson's next project, but it's like the fact again that just says coming soon for the last 6 months. It's been saying coming soon, and then this article comes out. It's like no wonder. Then you hear like they had to reshoot everything, and then they're like the Weeknd was so kind to let us film at his Bel Air mansion. I'm like, oh, so kind. It's like it's the least he could do, to be honest. It's like
the one thing I hate about this is I don't know who wrote the article, but someone said that. This isn't the first time that they've written something bad about, not bad, but like had bad things to say about Levinson. I think they may have been the people that wrote about something about Euphoria for Rolling Stone before. But the flip side is fuck, what was I going to say? Oh, there was another writer at Rolling Stone.
Oh, Cheyenne Roundtree is who
Did
wrote the article.
Did Cheyenne Roundtree write something else about? Hold on.
I'm not sure because there's nothing in the article that hints at like Sam Levinson, with the exception of past articles to other spots about like he and Barbie Ferreira feuded on the set of Euphoria season 2.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Her
Like,
character was Bush's side, or his fascination with nudity of his young actresses, and
No, that's the one thing though. You the hope is that people aren't like trying to say, oh well, this person is Cheyenne has a vendetta out for Sam Levinson or whatever. Like at a certain point, like again, journalists have a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
They have to write about these things, and maybe they are someone who would be maybe they're someone who watches HBO. And it just so happens that Sam Levinson runs everything at HBO. I'm currently looking through everything Cheyenne is reporting on at Rolling Stone. She's writing on literally everything from the Met Gala to fucking Dave Chappelle. Like they're covering pop culture. So I wouldn't say that anything. And actually, I don't even think I saw a Euphoria thing in there. But
no, but he is someone who has brought a lot of.
Well, there's a situation where. You try and walk back and trying to figure out why he would specifically write that scene with Rolling Stone in mind, like because Malcolm and Marie had similar context in regards to how
he was attacking
critics and reviews and everything like that.
Due to how they tore apart Assassination Nation. His
it's hard to tell,
debut,
but like it's like. That was Sam Levinson speaking.
Mm-hmm.
The Weeknd and Sam Levinson, like it could turn into something else, especially if you're that pointed at a certain outlet. And I'm not saying that he has a beef with Rolling Stone, but the fact that this happened and Rolling Stone dropped something, and he immediately had a tweet with a decent amount enough a clip that was pointed at Rolling Stone, to where a Rolling Stone writer had to delete a tweet where they quote tweeted it, and it was a fucking like racist looking monkey looking down. It's a weird situation when it gets that deep. It's hard to tell what's real and what is it kayfabe, or is it fucking, are they shooting?
Well, to be honest, the Rolling Stone scene, like the actual scene of the show, makes a lot of sense. A lot of like modern day pop stars won't care about Rolling Stone today, not just because Twitter's our institution of what's popular and what's not. So him saying like Rolling Stone, that doesn't even matter anymore, is accurate. I mean, if you even want to go back to the Defiant Ones,
right?
When Snoop Dogg talks about in the 90s, once I think Doggy Style and the First Chronic were about to come out, Jimmy Iovine's like, you're going to be on the cover of Rolling Stone. It's going to be the biggest thing. And Snoop Dogg's like, Rolling Stone? I don't care about Rolling Stone. I care about, you ever heard about The Source? That's what I want to be the cover on. Like, so in some ways, like this scene is accurate. Like the modern day pop stars, it is, I guess, also a good rite of passage to be on the cover of Rolling Stone, but it doesn't hold the weight. And not just like him doing the like, they have 6 million followers. Half of them are probably bots. She has 70 million followers. They're all real people. I'm like, that is some like, that's some creative writing. Right? Yeah. No, I'm like, it's some creative writing in terms of like, we are also like in the stan culture, as we'll kind of segue to another topic. So how many of those are real people, and also how many of them are their stan accounts as well? Like, whatever, I forget what her character's supposed to be, but it's crazy that this article drops, and maybe that was the plan, because last weekend, The Weeknd Live at SoFi Stadium dropped on HBO, his concert. Oh,
that's
film.
right. I forgot about that.
And I watched it yesterday because I was too busy last weekend. And it was an all right, I mean, I haven't been to a concert, so I can't really judge live music. And I'd say, there was some hits and misses, and just kind of like the overall show as a whole, like his set design and all that, like these dancers cloaked in these robes. It's all like very weird, but I'm like, and as a concert film, it was all right. It had some very amazing camera setups, but it was like, again, that synergy of I'm going to have an HBO show coming out. I'll do a concert film for you guys, or I'll let you. But when you
say concert film, it was like an actual, like it was a concert.
They filmed his performance at SoFi. Yeah, okay. It's exactly, yeah. So if you didn't go to the After Hours Till Dawn tour like myself, you can watch what is the equivalent, pretty much.
Oh, when you can watch him mask on, yeah.
Well, he wears this mask and pea coat. Then he takes the mask off and then gives the pea coat to someone in the crowd. And then, like we talked about last summer, he's wearing the Gray Man outfit. He's wearing this I'm a Spec Ops guy. Like,
well, let me like, how deep are you into the like? Are you
I'm a big Weeknd fan? Yeah, I am.
How deep are you into like the theory of the last couple of albums and the visual specifically with like?
I do like him trying to string together a story of his art, which is why he goes from Beauty Behind the Madness is like him going full pop. I'm going to try to become Michael Jackson of the modern day,
right? And
then Starboy is I cut my hair. I'm a new person now. It's a new look. It's a new me because I've now become the superstar, and all that. And then My Dear Melancholy is good, but that's legit. Like Selena Gomez dumped me. Like life is shit. And then he moves on to After Hours, which is like him trying to be like, let me write like a movie, but like with songs to it. And that's like, the Richard Pryor outfit, the Joker influence, the all like the casino, all the elements influence like him in Las Vegas, him leaving LA, the drugs. And then After Hours is like what happens when you leave all that behind.
I
enjoy all of it. I do like him trying to be an artiste as much as a musician.
Usually in when I wake up and I get like dressed, which means like a new pro wrestling shirt with a pair of sweatpants. And I'm like, I'll wash dishes and I'll throw on I try and throw like a 17 to 20 minute YouTube video that like is going to inform me on something. And one morning there was a video that was specifically about the Weeknd with the because I was trying like with the Super Bowl, I was trying to figure out him shit with the face and like all that shit.
The bandages and all
and
that.
When they tied it into like Michael Jackson and the real like progression of a pop star, and when Dawn FM or whatever, it's like the future, and you're kind of I never looked at the Dawn FM visuals because I'm not a big Weeknd fan, but looking at it on that level and how well he's committed, I'm not saying that the Weeknd is Andy Kaufman, but it's interesting to see how much he'll play into that.
I think this is what I had said last year about Drake, where I think especially with Her Loss more than anything else, because I think something like Honestly Nevermind was him actually trying to experiment with like different music,
right?
Trying to give some people that as close as R&B as he can give them, or something like or house music, like was what was debated or not. But something like Her Loss was obviously like Drake cosplaying as this type of guy, which he either might be or might not be. It all depends on who you ask, his perception of himself even. So someone like The Weeknd, I think, probably plays The Weeknd on stage and in these videos and in these songs, but also there probably he's that guy as well, obviously. And that's the thing with like the concert film itself. You can tell like he does try to want to be like this big entertainer with, again, he's playing stadiums, not arenas. And he's having the set, he's having these, women. He's trying to be Kanye West in a way without, all the negative stuff. But his negative stuff is somewhat different.
Wait, he filmed a piece of the show of the
that's the
HBO
other part.
show there, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, so there's a part apparently. I wish it was included in this concert. Just so
you mentioned Kanye, and then I saw this. Like, this is part of the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has a set which is like Toronto behind him. So like he goes from one end to the other, which is like him leaving like the crumbled ruins of Toronto as it burns down, which is kind of some scary visuals in a way. But it works for when he plays Hurricane into what was the other, like like the way they use the stage and the certain like kind of hard cam, but not really hard cam. There is some actual good filmmaking in this when it's not just like random crowd shots. When they're kind of on his level on stage, it's actually some really, really brilliant filmmaking, which is what I wish most artists would do when it comes to like concert films. Like, I don't want to see what it's like to be in the crowd. Like, get up close as you can on the stage. Like, that's like not just
want to see the show.
Yeah.
No, I feel you.
But no, and then someone's like, the Weeknd just came up with the story. He never wrote a script. I'm like, you're asking too much of this man to write a script. He's not a television writer. He's just like, I have an idea. Young pop star is drawn into a cult by this dark man like myself, this dark figure who wants to control her and have her be obsessed with him and give her power. It's really it was just, I'm like,
I got this idea.
This man to be Aaron Sorkin. So like, come on.
the Young Bucks book a territory. Go. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, it's not. This is not what's going on right now.
Yeah,
Like,
with someone. So I'm like, for that part to be in the article, like, I bet he never touched a script. I'm like, yeah, he's also not an actor. He was in Uncut Gems as The Weeknd. Like,
didn't he do the Super Bowl during like all of this?
no, this is
What year did he do the Super Bowl?
I think the Super Bowl is right before this. Yeah,
But when did
Super Bowl is 2021.
I can't wait, when did they first come up with the idea?
I think probably right after.
That's when they
maybe,
announced it.
I think they might have announced it in 2020, but then they started filming in 2021 as more COVID restrictions started to be lifted.
This series will mark the final television appearance of Anne Heche.
I didn't know that. Wow.
That's what Wikipedia says. She's not a main character.
And there was a whole thing where they cast like a K-pop star, and she's only in like a few scenes, and like they just did that like for marketing and publicity of like her fans will watch her in this show. Like it's
right,
which is, I mean, like, why did Jinder Mahal win the WWE title? There's a whole untapped market over here. Like
June 2021 is when he announced it, but they said they pitched this at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if he'd been working with this idea while he was coming up with the Super Bowl shit. Like again, that's why I don't care about the music. I like the idea of him building out these ideas through different mediums to tell an overarching story about the medium that he's in. If that makes sense. Unfortunately,
again, like the unfortunate part of this show, because it's again Sarah Dawn, a woman, and him saying the show's too feminine is, I would say, a big issue. Like
because it's a woman that's the star and her navigating through the industry, right?
And for him to be like, no, this show needs to be more about the dominating man in her life, controlling. Yeah,
like again, literally the character he's playing.
No, and I mean like, so you mean the guy you are in these songs? Like I get like I'm like, to me this isn't like breaking news.
This is 8 Mile.
No, I'm like I know people are like, oh, it's horrible to hear this. I'm like, when you say Sam Levinson and The Weeknd are teaming up, I'm expecting some dark shit, and it says something about me that I'm like, oh, I'll watch it, but I'm also like,
but you have to know what you're getting into, yeah.
But I'm also like, I am horrified by what I'm seeing on screen, but I'm like, I also know this is all fake and fiction and all that. I hope like this message doesn't get taken
right
literally or seriously about a man wants to control.
That's the scary part, though. Yeah. Like if
and they're right there, I mean, art can be used to.
But like think of this strip, like if you're a Bible thumping parent,
yeah,
and you hear the mulatto guy who you didn't like at the Super Bowl is linking up with the white guy who made the show that's got all the teenagers wearing Liv Morgan makeup on the field.
Well, I think like people like
that's what I'm saying. That's like those are immediate red flags for a certain part of the company, the country. And then if you don't have anything to back that up with, like if it's really just torture porn, as Rolling Stone says,
yeah, then there's like, what's going on here again? Like, yeah, what do you really want to?
What's the point?
And there's that aspect of like, do you want to be shock and awe for shock and awe? I think there is something like that with Sam Levinson a little bit. I think he does want to try to provoke people just to
100%. Yeah, that's part of his gig.
Because there was I actually do like Assassination Nation.
I need to watch. Maybe I'll watch that on the.
It's on Hulu.
On the way to Los Angeles for WrestleMania.
But what I like about it is that, and it's that thing where like this town turns on this young woman for sleeping with an older man and all that, and it like becomes like this whole weird thing. But like her and her friends and like try to get revenge on the attacker. They figure out a way. Yeah, they get revenge on the attackers, and it's like I guess it's that like 70s revenge fantasy films that they made back in the day, and that's what I like about
grave and shit.
Yeah, and I respect that element of like like kill these fuckers. Like they deserve to die for doing
punch a Nazi in the face.
And the unfortunate part is like Joel McHale is perfectly casted as the older guy sleeping with the teenager, but I'm not saying like Joel McHale will do that, but I'm like he just plays that role so well. It's like just like how Eric Dane does on Euphoria. It's like they cast the perfect guy just in like the look.
Shouts out to Cal on Euphoria for being a fucking big pervert. God.
Yeah. but at least he owned it in that episode of like he said I fuck men, I fuck women, I fuck anything.
No,
I'm an animal.
He
I
kills
need
that
meat,
role.
like-
Cal in Euphoria forever, the worst person on that show. He started it all. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, no, that's the point of the second episode. Is like Nate Jacobs is a monster because this man raised him. And
But have you ever really thought like because if you take Cal, take Cal out of the show,
it doesn't exist. Yeah, which is why they tried to redeem Cal in season 2, episode 2 of his story of like, or was it not episode 2? Either of his episode, they tried to redeem him of like this guy who was in love with this woman, but was also in love with his best friend. And unfortunately, at the time, he couldn't be himself.
If you take Cal out of the show, there's no Nate Jacobs. At least to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
Rue still gets hooked on drugs, right? Like, Nate Jacobs had nothing to do with Rue's story. That could have progressed the way it could have progressed.
I mean, we'll talk about Euphoria whenever season 3 comes out. Who knows? I mean, at this point, maybe Sam Levinson is locked out of the HBO.
Nah, he's offices. Good. I think that man is going to be
he's like I said. What I just said 20 minutes ago is like people are going to watch this so-called train wreck of a show. Like,
it's all in the ratings. Yeah, it's on how many people.
Would the original version of the show been good? The crew seems like it would have been. Says it would have been good. The Amy Simons version. I would have been interested in see what that looked like. The kind of like wink, wink, like pop stardom. Isn't it stupid? Instead of like, isn't it so dark? Like,
the thing I hate about it is the story isn't new. I've heard albums about this. I've seen shows about this. Like we've been here before. It's going to be very visually appealing and very fucking like esoteric. But
yeah,
I don't think you're going to pick up anything new.
If anything, much like Nick Weinendorfen's work has been criticized, it's going to try to say more than it actually is.
Facts.
It's going to be more like you think you're actually saying something smart, but you're just really basic. Like
you're finding out a way to talk about some really fucked up shit without saying anything.
Yeah, it's like, isn't it wrong how we treat our female pop stars and or older men with younger women? It's like, yeah, we get it.
We've been there.
But from one stardom to another, have you seen the full trailer for Swarm? We talked about this a few weeks ago when Keeks was on because it is a show about Bayhive, you know.
Swarm?
This is the Dominique Fishback Amazon show co-created by Donald Glover, in which she plays a beehive type stan.
I watched the full trailer for this? I think I've seen parts of it. I've seen parts of it.
They dropped like a 45-second teaser. That's when I brought it up.
I've seen something on it. Yeah,
they dropped a fuller trailer, and at the end of the trailer, there's a white woman talking. Dominique Fishback says, "I actually prefer her sister's music a little bit better. She's a little bit like softer or something like that." Or like I forget what it was like a good like Solange
right
bar in there. But
that's what's up.
But I'm like, and then the trailer for The Blackening dropped, and I had no idea about this movie, but it looks.
You're not up on the shit.
I might have maybe remember.
If I thought about I'm sorry, damn it. If I thought about The Blackening, that would have been the Off-White. Because literally, you saw the trailer, right?
Yeah, it looks brilliant. Like
the sketch is the trailer without like all the wild shit, but literally a group of black people in a spot find out that somebody's trying to kill them, and they have to decide who's the blackest person to be the first one to die. It's like a 3-minute sketch. I want to say if you go to it's like Comedy Central Originals or something like that. It was a stage show. It was like an IRL sketch that turned into a very popular internet sketch that they said we're going to fucking turn this into a movie. And then they got all the good people right now.
They literally did. That's the part of it is like
that trailer is phenomenal.
They got Melvin Gregg, who I know he was Man Boy on.
Melvin Gregg's amazing.
I know he was Man Boy on Snowfall, but to me, he's more amazing in High Flying Bird, one of my favorite movies.
High Flying. season 2 of American Vandal.
I wasn't really into. I didn't really even like season 1 of American Vandal that much, but I never finished it because I was just like, I don't even like the show that much to begin with. But he was good as like the violin guy after he would like shoot.
Season 1 of American Vandal is a really good. But
it's smart. I just don't think it's funny.
That's if you're not into 10th grade humor. Fuck that show.
It's not even like 10th grade.
It's a show about dicks. It's a show about drawing dicks on things. You have to be a certain type of person to be like, oh, let me get into this science. Like that's some real Seth Rogen ass.
Right? When they're like that. All right, to draw one takes 35 seconds.
They had to figure out drawing nut hairs and shit. Yeah. Like there's a lot that goes into that. It's really fucking dumb.
I'm like, I thought it was smart in terms of like, them trying to do serial, 48 hours.
They did a really good job of that parody.
It's smartly written, but to me, it's just not like laugh out loud.
The first season's better than the second season, but Melvin Gregg is the best part of the second season.
But again, they got him. They have Cinqua Walls, who we just talked about recently, because he'll be in White Men Can't Jump, the remake. Grace Byers, who's on Empire. My girl, I forget her name from Dear White People. She's in it. Jermaine Fowler's in it. He had the funny line, if I voted for Trump twice, like
twice is funny.
But yeah, no, it just looked amazing. And then Yvonne Orji's in the movie or the trailer at the end, and it's just like, who can't get enough of Yvonne Orji? Like,
no, yeah, something. The thing with the Blackening film is, I know that at some point it's going to shift, and turn into something else. Which I just hope it's good at that point.
Yeah, because on the surface, it looks like to me a Christopher Landon film, the guy who made Happy Death Day and Freaky and. It looks like that like great blend of comedy and horror. So I'm like, is there going to be actually more to it, or is it going to be laughs and like, let's run for our lives? Because that's the funny part, is like they're being chased. Like when they open the door and he gets shot with the arrow, and he's like, ah! It's just like a brilliant moment. Though.
Are we going to do, because that's going to drop the same weekend that BRP 50 drops? Are we going to do an episode of White Noise?
The funny story is like takes place like over Juneteenth. So like
literally
the terrifying thing is like, what's it like to be hunted on Juneteenth? I'm like, this actually is a little scary, to be honest.
It's the scariest thing for a black person ever. Now we should do a White Noise episode on the BRP 50 and the black.
Well, right now we're kind of talking about, like, this is a big renaissance for black horror or black led horror, because also the Haunted Mansion trailer dropped.
That means I got to do some shit with black horror this summer, huh?
I guess. I mean, you're the expert.
I gotta be. I gotta be.
I'm trying to say in horror.
I gotta be. I already know what I'm gonna do. Let's go. Anyway, what's next? We had
the Haunted Mansion.
I didn't see this. Is this a live animation or live action?
It's a live action movie by. I just shouted out Dear White People, one of my favorite Netflix shows. It's Justin Simien at the helm. I remember. I think this wasn't.
Realize that. Okay.
Yeah, I think we might have talked about this on They Called Us Madmen back in the day when we did the Disney all the news they dropped at the end of 2020 of what's on the horizon. I think this might have been talked about along with a Lando show.
That was a minute ago though.
A Lando show by Justin Simien, which that's kind of been in a purgatory, but maybe
it's never happened.
I think he was making this film. Maybe he'll get to it now that Star Wars is more TV focused.
Okay.
Rosario Dawson's in it. Lakeith Stanfield, Owen Wilson, Danny DeVito, Tiffany Haddish. It actually looks all right. I watched the first one as a kid a ton with Eddie Murphy. And I've never been to the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. So, but this trailer looks good. Like, I mean, looks like
I was too old for the Haunted Mansion at that point. Yeah, I don't think that was a thing by the time. If it was, I've only been to Disneyland a handful of times. Not even, maybe like 12.
I've only been once, so yeah. But no, it actually looks pretty good, and I enjoyed. I didn't see Bad Hair, which is a film he made for Hulu.
Me neither. I'm not peep Bad Hair. I need to before the Blackening comes out. I got some movies to watch. Apparently,
I know he wanted to get into like a horror space a little bit, and this seems like kid friendly, but also like might have some good scares to it too. It also might, I think, be his foray into like big blockbuster filmmaking as a guy who made the independent film Dear White People, and then made the full length version of it in terms of an actual 4-season show.
Damn. Black horror.
Yeah, I was just like, Black horror, and they got Swarm, which will be on Amazon Prime. I'm like, that looks interesting. I just wonder like how much can you get out of like again, like stan culture, because it says like what does the poster say? If you want to put it back up, if I can read it on here, otherwise I'll have to read it on my phone.
One sec. There you go.
It says "Stand correct." Like
that's good. No, that's good.
Again, this is the guy that brought us Atlanta. He's the co-creator.
Exactly.
So I mean, I expect it to be much like how Atlanta was basically a black horror show.
I'm stealing all this, Drip. I'm telling you this right now. No,
stealing what?
No, the idea of black horror is actually very interesting because it's not
that's
not new, but it's happening. It's happening.
No, that's why lately for White Noise I've been trying to do the like these kind of hint teaser images, and that's why. And you could say I'm fucking white. I'm talking about black horror right now, so I'm.
No, it's facts.
Actually, all these things look interesting. I don't know if I might see the blackening in the theater. Should we have a group screening of?
No, but that's all right.
Do you expect the killer to be a white man, or do you expect it to be like one of them secret, or like a friend of theirs?
I'm going to.
I don't want to dive that deep, but like, do you think it actually is like a white person hunting them?
If you watch the trailer, there's a figure on a TV with like like Evil Uno.
Yeah,
it kind of looks like Evil Uno. I think there's probably a black person or somebody black is behind getting Evil Uno on these people.
Well, it seems like Jay Pharoah and Yvonne Orji, and then Jay Pharoah's not in the trailer. It seems like he leaves, and like when the door opens, Yvonne Orji's like, "What's going on? Are you playing?" Like that's what is I got a gun. Like when she tries to act tough, like as the door opens by itself.
No, right.
Either they're trying to hide Jay Pharoah as the killer, or maybe Jay Pharoah is the first one to die for real, even though the whole point of the movie is like which one of them dies, because again the old horror trope of the black person always dies first.
I already know I'm gonna have to start a black horror movie club. Like I have to make to prepare for the blackening. There's so many black horror shit I have to watch. Matter of fact, black.
So in this class we have, and I hate to just because it's the always
do it.
No, I'm saying, but Get Out and Us. But would you count Nope
as a black horror film? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
I only am hesitant because, like I said, I tend to think more Nope as like him wanting to go
Nope
Spielbergian.
No, I think you can't discount the 50s and 60s sci-fi as well as the Spielberg spectacle of it all. But
I think that last 40 minutes overtakes and is better than the first hour and 10. That's why, in terms of like what of like the buildup of like what is this in the air? What are they
looking for, Drip? They're looking for an Oprah moment.
Yeah,
white people aren't going to look for an Oprah moment. Like
at
a certain point,
one of the best visuals is the house bleeding on. I mean, the ship bleeding onto the house.
What I'm saying is, at a certain point, because it's black people at the center of the story, black culture is going to ultimately overtake the story. So it even like by proxy, it's a black horror film. And that's a double, triple entendre, depending on how you want to look at the term black and horror. You know what I'm saying? But it's one of those things where Jordan Peele, the whole premise of the family with the horses, and there's too much there.
You're right.
It's
one of those things where like it's probably 40-60 to me in terms of like what, there is something more out there, and then the 40%, like I said, the Spielbergian aspect is 60, and then the black horror is the 40 of like
I would say
in terms of why is it attacking them, because it's like
if Get Out is 80-20 black to white.
Oh no, it's the full 100, because the film starts out with Lakeith Stanfield in the neighborhood being like,
yeah, but there's certain people in the black community. I think that's not necessarily like 100% black film. There's a little bit of nuance in terms of horror and white politics that you kind of have to get past. That's deeper than just what's on the news.
Or the politics that black people are aware of with the whole, I would have voted for Obama third term.
Maybe 90-10. Us?
Okay. Us is the tough one because that is...
Us is flip-flopped. Us is more of a class film. Us is not a race film.
Yeah, but isn't in its way, isn't that still like they are the rich black
but
family?
Us is at best, Us is like 40-60 at best.
But even then, like he has the poor boat.
I would put personally, I may say like 25-75 in terms of race.
You would think so more than Nope.
Again, the premise in Nope is the first black Hollywood horse family is experiencing this shit and
extraterrestrial life. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of white people in UFO movies.
Well, well, you know what, you are right, because it's the thing, like the UFOs never haunt the black people. So you're right. Yeah.
The UFOs never haunt the black people. And I think if it was a white person in this film, they may have reacted different. There's scenes where Daniel Kaluuya is not going outside because a black person is not going outside because it's a fucking UFO out there and he understands what's going on. Like,
I just only don't give the horror. You're right. Yeah, so maybe it is 50-50 perfect.
But it's
because it does try to be that wonder of like you said.
There's nuance. It's more nuanced, but it's more nuanced, especially because it's not just a horror film. Like again, you mentioned that last 40 minutes. At a certain point within that last 10-20 minutes, it's fucking.
It's not even scary. Like I said, it's just like, what are aliens like?
It's Kenny Omega and fucking Will. What was the sequence of moves that was it? It was Omega and was it Ibushi? It was from a while ago, and like Omega throws a kick that Ibushi ducked, and then he goes for a sweep, and Ibushi jumps up, and like it's back and forth, but it's really just like, look at how fucking awesome we are, and that was the end of Nope, is that fucking thing saying, hey, bitch, look at me, I'm trying to eat you, because that's. The black guy realized early in that film that if you looked into, this is a whole spoiler, if you look into that monster's eyes, it's got you, it's going to fucking kill you. That's the whole point of the film. So at that spectacle, it's showing everything. It might as well whip the dick out. Like, it's just like, hey, fucking look at me. Hey. And he's like, I'm not fucking, I know what's going to happen if I fucking look at you. Hey, look at all this grandiose shit. This is fucking amazing. All because it wants to eat you. I'm sorry, we're way off.
You're right. Yeah. The next movie the main event is it's again a movie written by two black men, starring an all black cast pretty much, and then directed by a black man. And Creed 3. You said you had saw it weeks ago,
end of January. It's amazing.
I saw it yesterday in the first of my double feature. I also saw Operation Fortune. We'll talk about that when the other guy. We'll talk about that. When the other Guy Ritchie movie comes out, which is The Covenant, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, and that'll be in
when
April.
Is that dropping?
Mid-April.
Oh, good. Okay, we got time. Post-Mania.
Yeah, and I think probably
anything happening in March is not happening right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I think if anything, too, like because this movie had such a delay due to STX and the Ukraine. I think Operation Fortune. The theater I saw it in was pretty full, but it was one of the smaller rooms in the theater.
We'll give.
But I think this will be a movie that will be on demand in a matter of weeks anyway. Yeah, to kind of recoup anything they might lost. Even though again, it's Guy Ritchie kind of doing Mission Impossible pretty much.
I still haven't seen it yet. I've got a bootleg, but I haven't sat and watched it yet. But I do want to check it out.
But I saw Creed 3 again. I rewatched the first two on a Friday night. I hadn't watched the first one in a while, and that's one of my favorite films of all time. Again, that was Ryan Coogler reinventing the Rocky franchise into the Creed franchise, because he had said like he had this whole great story at the time of before any sporting event he would do, his father would make him watch the Rocky films. And
his father was sick, right?
Later in life, as he started to get older, which is why the story of Rocky in that film is so resonant. He has said since that he can't watch Creed because it's basically about his life, in terms of his father being sick and losing someone. But he had always said like, why did they never make a movie about Apollo Creed? Like, he's the cooler guy to have a movie about. Why is a movie about the underdog guy? Like, he's all right. There's nothing wrong with him, but like this guy's the world champion and has all the charisma. Like, where's his movie? And again, he gets killed, even though I think like Carl Weathers at the time was very upset that that was the decision they made. But I mean, for the story of Rocky 4, like it works. But again, like Rocky 2, he barely beats Apollo, becomes heavyweight champion. Rocky 3, Apollo has to help him become the better fighter to beat Clubber Lang. So, and we could just skip over Rocky 5 and then Rocky Balboa because those don't really matter as much. But
Rocky Balboa is a decent film, but I feel you.
I've never seen Rocky Balboa still, to be honest.
I will say.
But the ending of Creed 2 does work for me, knowing that Milo Ventimiglia is his son in Rocky Balboa. That scene does work for me still without having seen the film he's largely in.
Facts. If you like, the one thing I like about the Creed film specifically is how much they embody boxing present. Like there's a point in Creed 3 where I'm assuming Showtime produced it. Like 10 minutes of that film feels like it's straight. It's ripped from a Showtime documentary or whatever.
They did that in the second. Well, in two parts. One part in the first one and one part in the second, where it's like the HBO Sports.
Rocky Balboa is where that started. Rocky Balboa is where it went hardcore with the here's a realistic presentation of what boxing looks like.
Because they do the 24/7 at like when they talk about when it's.
They were doing that. I mean, low key, they were doing that, but this is the first time you got to see like the branding. You got to see the fucking branding in the corner or whatever of a HBO and somebody daddy.
Well, because they had to use their actual arena full of people to film their choreographed fight because it would work a whole lot better, and then they could like CGI the rest. But I think the Ortiz, the Chavez Anderson fight, the Dame fight is at an actual venue, but obviously the Adonis Dame fight is all on a sound stage.
Well, I was going to say
they're not at Dodger Stadium
because you mentioned CGI, and the one thing like aside when you see the fireworks over Dodger Stadium, like that looks hard, but like I know that didn't happen.
Yeah, that's the shitty part is like not to like say like they had the Marvel CGI as of late, but you can just like tell they're not in Dodger Stadium, unfortunately.
Well, wait.
But like it's such a cool idea because the whole like Battle of Los Angeles fight that him and Dame are gonna have is pretty cool.
But wait,
but what was weird is if you put up one of the images,
which one?
I think it's the one where it's kind of more multifaceted of people in the movie. It's the one like him, Jonathan Majors, Drago, Tessa Thompson. Like there was that scene in the trailer where they show Michael B. Jordan doing like that face, and like there's no one behind him, like the crowd's empty. And I'm like, did they use like an unfinished right? So in the bottom left corner, I'm like, did they use an unfinished shot in this film? But like
maybe
this is spoiler. No, I'm saying
that's what you think when you're watching the trailer.
Yeah,
like, maybe.
And like, but spoiler. This is a whole now spoiler-filled review.
No, right.
So if you haven't seen it, go out see it. They do this brilliant. Michael Jordan has this brilliant thing where they fight with no one around.
All right, wait. All right.
I was like, oh my god, that's brilliant. I thought the prison bars were a little corny. That part of it.
Okay. All right. Wait.
But I thought them fighting with no crowd was amazing.
So I watched this film and then R.I.P. Jerry Jarrett, but I've watched like empty arena fights. So I'm like, a lot of stuff was going on, and then I'm watching Creed 3, and I'm thinking about Creed 3. And when I watched the film, I'm like, this shit is kind of corny. Not the idea of we're going to transition from the first round to the last round, but the idea of it's got to be fucking prison bars coming up on each side of the ring. And I thought that was so whack, and the fact when you realize
I think it's corny, but it works so well because Michael B. Jordan was smart to know like I can't compete.
He knew what he was doing.
He didn't want to do like Ryan Coogler made the best straight up boxing movie you can make, and then Stephen Caple Jr. made a great homage to Creed and the Rocky films with 2. So Michael B. Jordan's like. And he's like, my mind's a little bit differently anyway, not just because he's influenced by anime. He's like, let me do something different. Like, people are going to get tired of the same boxing fights. Seem like, like that was something that Southpaw delivered with Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, it was just a straight boxing movie. And
we got to have a conversation.
We'll get into this in 5 minutes. Don't get me in 5 minutes. But But no, I'm like, when the prison bar showed up, I'm like, oh, that's a choice. But then I'm
it's
like,
a choice. No, that's a good
Um,
point. It is a
yeah.
choice.
And same thing like the mattress in the corner. But I'm like, it's all built up to the point where like he says, like, you ain't been behind those bars. And like the weird thing too, I want to know how much they cut out of this movie.
All right.
Because there are some key scenes in the trailer.
Shouts out to my homie Frazier. All right.
Did he think the same thing?
We had a conversation because again, he's the only person I knew early on who had seen the film, and
okay,
it felt like if they had given this film maybe another 10 or 15 minutes, because when you think about Drip, think about how quickly Kang amassed a whole squadron on a beach after he won the title that night. Like there's points of this film that feels
that works good because of like the because when he does like the double turn of like he just starts smiling the whole time in that scene after he's been doing like
this shit went from my man was do you remember me? I used to be this guy who used to be your best friend who was fighting everybody. Now I was in prison for 15 years. All of a sudden I'm fucking WWE kayfabe masterminding somebody getting beat up at a fucking random press event. They fucked their whole arm up, so I can't fight him no more. So now I'm put into the position. Like it felt a little let's get to the fucking point in the middle of the film where it's like they built up a whole thing where Kang was trying to creep on Adonis's girl. And actually,
did you kind of wonder that a little bit if that's where they wanted to head?
All right. So there's two things. One,
I don't think they did.
There's two things. One, Mrs. Creed was underdeveloped in this film. Her whole drive in this film was we don't talk enough, so our relationship suffers. And then that was all she said was we need to have a conversation. We got to talk. It was the end of the film when he finally told her about the whole flashback where this is why Kang got put in prison. But the second part is
we gotta call him because I do like Anderson. I do like Damian Anderson or like Diamond Dame.
I'm sorry. Call him. You can call him Dame all you want, Drip.
You're gonna go around for the next 10 years calling future Oscar winner potentially Jonathan Majors Kang like
Drip. The one time I got to talk to The Rock over Zoom.
Oh, you called him The Rock, yeah.
They called my man Dwayne Johnson. I said Rock.
Yeah.
Like I can't. I'm not gonna bullshit you.
People still call him The Rock, and that's why I think he's still pissed to this. I think that's why he's still an asshole to this day.
No, you said a key thing. The people. I gotta be the people.
The people.
If I'll tell you right, I've spoken to Jonathan Majors before. If I stepped into a room with him right now, Kang was popping. Like you kind of because you.
Yeah, I think he would have. I think he would smile about it. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
If he don't smile, I would wonder why.
But he's like I'm a real person, man. I'm not the conqueror today.
I wish this film gave Kang and gave Mrs. Creed a little bit more time. I really felt bad because there was really a dope conversation with Adonis not having the ability to get over what was going on in the past, which is what's making him not really build with his wife, and then the daughter who is deaf, wanting to fight, but them kind of like there's a lot of seeds in that, which I really do hope they visit in a Creed 4. Because there's a story right there. There's a whole story. Especially with a reluctant champion, a fucking hurt ass champion. Like they've got Creed 4 right there. I just wish I saw a little bit more of that.
No, Creed 4 is definitely him mentoring his daughter. Like his daughter becoming an Alicia Bumgarner type of fighter. And again, her being
facts. Her
being deaf and the use of ASL in this movie is well represented and beautiful. Like so there is something to play in there, like a fighter who can't hear. It's just a matter of like, because unfortunately, again, with Creed 3, it opens 2002 Cal, or was it right? Like as the Watcher plays, and I'm like, yes! Like I love the Watcher. Like I'm like, this is
that's all you
really. You didn't like that?
No, I was cool. You felt at home.
Oh, I loved it. Where it's like dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun,
Drip
dun.
Crip walking in the fucking theater
Oh,
and
God,
shit.
again, my mom loved West Coast rap and all that.
Nah, of
obviously,
course.
with that, like
They're good with the music.
Like,
They're really good with the music in these
I
films.
didn't care about the fucking Dreamville shit.
Well,
No offense.
I think the Dreamville thing is important in terms
It
of
is, yeah.
like if outside of Creed,
Well, it's
the
that old
character,
school thing of predominantly black films in the '90s had like the best soundtracks.
But you got to remember,
it's a throwback to that. That's the whole point of TDE with Black Panther, right? They were bringing that vibe back to.
No, you're right, but I want to add on because this fucking film Drip did 100-some million globally this weekend. This film, it's not only being touted as a big deal for the weekend, but they're looking at this as a real boon for Amazon Studios. Like I joke on Twitter saying they need to give Michael B. Jordan his own wing at Amazon, but like whatever creative projects he has going on, he's going to be able to write his own ticket because of Creed 3. Like you can't.
Let's get in that towards the end because let's
you
kind
can't
of break down
down
the
talk.
film.
I'm just saying
No, you're right because there are two discussions. There is the movie as a whole, which has its great heights and like you said, like we could have done a little bit more with this. And it's not like it's bad, just like what did you cut out? I'm like, does he have a director's cut in mind? That
there's got to be another 15, 20
released?
minutes of
Because
story there.
In the trailer, I think the first ever trailer, he gives what looks like is a retirement press conference. And that's not in the film. And then there's also
we went from
Africa. Randomly, they're fighting in Africa with like it's no big deal. Like
I think there's a lot of story in between Creed losing everything and Creed getting the gall to say I'm about to go, because Creed was done. He was done with boxing. He wanted to be fucking. It was Oscar De La Hoya. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to be the promoter,
which is a smart character turn. Yeah.
The attention to detail in terms of the progression of a boxer is why I like how these Creed films are being done. It's taking what Rocky was doing and putting it into the modern era. And speaking of the modern era, Creed 4 better have some type of Jake Paul KSI type motherfucker. Like you Drip. I'm sorry. If you don't watch boxing, you don't understand. Like in the Mike Tyson era and in the 90s era, it was like boxing was New Japan. Like I mean, in terms of sure there were 5 gajillion titles, but it was more like there were weight classes. People followed the stats and everything. At a certain point, boxing became pro wrestling, especially with the Klitschko's. But right now, the Creed films are showing the best of boxing.
Yes.
Unfortunately, in modern times, Jake Paul and KSI, these fucking YouTube creators, they're the ones who actually are taking the time to be boxers and be in the boxing ring. Creed may have to fight some fucking, it may be some swole ass dude, but it's going to be some swole ass dude who his career was built on TikTok knocking motherfuckers out legit.
Well, that's the other part of the story of where like this man who never had a pro fight gets the title shot.
One fight he's immediately a contender.
No, not even a fight in. This is the fight. It's the tie-in of so gonna take it back of like him being the older brother, the Golden Gloves champion, and mentoring him, and they do a good like it cuts to like Adonis has always been the hothead of it. Does seem like the role is kind of flipped, like Dame again went to the dark side after smartly so after you go to prison, it changes the man. But Adonis has always been that hothead, like as it shows in the first Creed when he punches the guy at the concert and all that. But he goes from being the world champion, even though the timeline doesn't make sense because it's supposed to be like this takes place after the Drago fight. But I think like the years don't add up when it goes like 2002 to 15. I'm like, their child wouldn't even have been born yet. And this is supposed to be before. This would be like after the Drago. It's almost like the Fast and the Furious, like make this add up because you got to factor in a child growing, how old, like again, Pretty Ricky Conlon went to jail for 7 years and now he's out. Like,
and that child's kind of, by the time, wait, where is that one image?
She's like what, 5 or 6? Because
she may be even a little older. Like the top left, like how old is that little girl? She's kind of tall.
Yeah,
7, 8.
Unless it's just unless it's like she's tall for her age.
I don't know.
Thing, but
Homegirl's old enough. Like I can't. You can't. I don't think you could pull 5 off. If you told me she was 9, 8, 9, maybe. But
well,
anyway.
It's been 5 years since Creed 2 in our timeline. You know, it's
how old was she at the end of Creed 2?
She was like 4 or 5 months. Yeah, like
they
had the baby. Then he goes to train for the Drago fight, which is a few weeks. But
no way,
that's all convoluted.
If that's a 5-year-old, that is the smartest 5-year-old ever. I'm sorry, the tallest 5-year-old too. Sorry.
Yeah. But it goes he goes straight to being a promoter, and he's got this guy, and they have Jonathan Majors comes home, and they have this great scene in the diner where and he plays Jonathan Majors plays so well that he's always on the verge of tears, but he won't cry. That's his acting style. I'm gonna every word I say I might break down, but that's why the scene at the beach where he's got like you said a whole army with him, and he flips it hey, what you thought I was gonna do? You thought I was he just becomes the villain overnight.
Once Creed realized that one
had this grand master plan,
that bald light-skinned guy was at the party. He said, "Oh shit!" And then he went. There was 500 people in that. It wasn't 500. It was a good 60 people on that beach though.
Because he plays it so genuine with you never got any of my letters, and he's like, no, I never did. And he's I genuinely never got them. He's like, oh, no, but him trying I need to fight now. I think I could be champ. Give me a shot. He's like, you
knew what he was doing.
Me. I mean, it makes sense. And like I said, I mean, again, spend more time with him. That's why I'm just and there's also a scene in the trailer where they're at a juvie center and they chant Creed, Creed, and that's not in the film.
Yeah.
And again, that's that would probably go back. That's probably more Tessa Thompson tie-in to, to try to elevate, like you said, this, it's not they have a bad marriage. It's just he's not an open husband, is what it is. And that aspect of the story of him being a family man, it does work, but it's
it's not enough.
It's not the strongest part, is what it is.
Yeah,
it's good enough. Seeing it on screen, but it's you could tell the whole point, Michael B. Jordan's character, or Michael B. Jordan wants to be looked at as a good father figure in the movie. All the stuff with the daughter is good and works really well. But again, all this stuff about him not wanting to open up, or it's just it kind of fall flat a little bit. Not in an atrocious way. It's
they should have been.
You have 2 versions of the film, and this was the one you wanted to release.
If they could have put a little bit more of that in the film, that would have made more sense. But what can you do?
But all the action in it is amazing. He said all this was heavily influenced by anime. You can tell the use of slow motion.
The first shot. I mean, when he does I already saw it online. Again, all right. I don't remember. Was it? It may have been Creed or Creed 2. I forget what magazine cycle it was when Michael B. Jordan became the it guy in the mainstream. But right now, Jonathan Majors has become the it guy. So there's a lot of people there's a lot of women who wouldn't have been paying attention who are paying attention right now. And so I'm seeing screen grabs of Michael B. Jordan getting hit in the stomach, and they're looking at the way he because I think
that scene was straight up
but that's kind of the key. The stuff that people aren't talking about, Creed 3 for Michael B. Jordan is really all right, I love the way Ryan Coogler does this, and I love the way Marvel does this, and I want to take all these pieces of what I've been doing and put them it's not.
If you want to put that image up of all the directors,
I don't know if it's fair to say that this is, which one is it? Is it this one? No, it's not that one. It's not that one. It's this one.
Yeah,
it's this one. I don't know if it's fair to say that this is Michael B. Jordan's debut album, but you can really see where he's pulling from in terms of the certain again the Dodger Stadium visual with all the CGI and when it goes from a bunch of people to no people, that felt damn, how would Marvel shoot a boxing film? What would Marvel put into the boxing film?
That's what he's I don't want to just do HBO Sports boxing. He's I want let me make. He's this is a movie. Let's have fun. That's why I'm it is corny, but it does work for me because he's and so because it's also this is the fight in his mind when he's facing it. He's as good as this would be straight up. He's let's not play just raw emotions. Let's think out bigger picture. Yeah, I mean,
no, 100%.
I mean, the first Creed is the second collaboration between Coogler and Jordan, and that's when they were, you know, the new Scorsese De Niro, Scorsese DiCaprio of the modern day, because in the top left corner, that's them on the set, and then on the bottom right, I love that image of them making Black Panther on that set in Wakanda or Georgia, but that's just an amazing visual. And then that image of him and Stephen Cable Jr. is from one article from a certain publication by one, if you want to take it down. I wonder who wrote this article. Let me try to turn.
What was the headline again? I really was.
Creed 2 director Stephen Cable Jr. owes Michael B. Jordan 3 real punches by Cal, November 21st, 2018.
I really wanted. That was the most fascinating part of that story to me, was the fact that the realism was so real that every time Michael B. Jordan caught a real stinger, he said, "Bet Steven, like, I owe you," because he was just catch a shot.
Yeah, and that's
I love that
Creed 2. I'm a big Creed 2 guy. It's not as good as the first, and it's
low key. The streets know Creed 2 was hard, but I don't think the mainstream really understands. Yeah,
rewatching it wasn't as good as I remember. I thought it was a lot. And it's not even like it's bad. It's just like, it is kind of again, it's a really good sequel compared to like.
It's not a Ryan Coogler film, right?
No, but Stephen Cable Jr. does a great job with the action, and it's not like the story's weak either, because I know Cheo Hidari Coker has a story credit, and you can kind of he created Luke Cage for Netflix, the TV show.
Cheo, for real, yeah.
And you can kind of tell, because I think I remember one time he was on Fat Man Beyond with Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin, and he talked about writing a version of Creed 2 that then got scrapped because Sly Stallone, who we'll probably get to in a little bit, wanted to polish out the script, and I wonder what he wanted to polish up. But you can tell maybe that the promoter character played by Russell Hornsby is a Cheo creation, because it works so well of a guy using this angle of two sons who were always headed toward each other just because of sins of the father. And that's why that movie works so well, is not just the father of Apollo, but like Rocky's also Adonis's dad.
I forgot Russell was in that. He don't have a big role, but I wish he had more.
But he's good. Yeah.
I wish he had more to do in that film. Yeah.
Well, it also makes it think like because he shows up when she's playing at a club, and he's like, she has an amazing voice. And it makes it think like, is he also going to try to like be her manager too, as well as
he could have tried to creep in more. Yeah.
Yeah. Is he going to try to promote her concerts like he promotes the boxing event? Like and maybe that's the weakness of 2 and 3 as well, is because Tessa Thompson gets pregnant and has to play, and that's the whole point of the story too, is like she said, I can't be there for him, because once he gets his ass kicked, he's like a broken man, and the great Felicia Rashad's like, you have to let him be, like, you can't be a supporting wife, he has to figure out on his own, like it's just his own mindset. So I think you are right, Tessa Thompson is underserved, but like she still delivers.
No disrespect, I don't want to say, don't take anything from this conversation saying that Tessa Thompson doesn't deliver. She does her thing. I just think the film doesn't give her enough. I kind of like, we get to see her in the studio a little bit, and it's the rest of the film is kind of just her being like, "Yo, Adonis, I want to have a conversation."
Yeah,
he's like, "Nah,
that is the bad part." Yeah. And the one time they do like have a conversation, he does like the angry, and it's like it's one of like the 4 times in this film where Michael B. Jordan's like, I'm directing myself. I'm gonna go, and
I gotta show what I'm doing, man.
And that's the other part. Like, so when he was announced, so like as you said, like this, we're kind of all over the place, but that's the whole point of White Noise. But like you said, like this was in limbo because Creed 2, even though it did all right financially and critically, for some reason they just didn't think about making a third one, which I understand too, because like it wraps up the Rocky story perfectly too. Like, we don't need Rocky in this film at all. He had the perfect send off in Creed 2. Like, they didn't need to trudge him back out and be like, he needs your help again. Yeah. Rock, can you push him over the finish line? It's like, no, like, I know Sly Stallone's pissed about that, but it's like, you had your time, you know. I mean,
but you can't get mad. Like, this is the thing again. If they,
it's his creation, yeah.
But,
and,
but if they say Creed 2, all right, this movie did fine. The pandemic's going on. If Sly Stallone doesn't have an idea and they're not sure on the film, then at some point Michael B. Jordan says, "Yo, I know what to do with Creed. Just give me the fucking reins." And Sly Stallone doesn't offer anything. Like at a certain point, you can't get mad. And I think the thing is, it's not like we can't then say Creed 4 also has like a subplot where he has to deal with Rocky Balboa. Because I told somebody on the timeline, now I hate to be the bearer of bad news. There's only one Rocky story you got to tell at this point. What else can you say with Rocky right now? He's taking care of fucking. He's mentoring Creed's daughter. How long does that go on? He's a fucking old cancer man. Like I'm sorry to say,
right.
but like
that's why it's
got
like
so much time.
Yeah, and that's why like Creed 2 was the perfect send off for him because it had the great scene because Creed 2 combines Rocky 2, 3, and 4 into one film, and to me that's why it works because it plays the element of like,
this is really Rocky 5. Creed 3 is really Rocky 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because in Creed 2, he becomes the champ, and then but also is thrust into the spotlight. And
he has that whole arc,
of like how do you deal with the fame now that you're an overnight sensation like Rocky was, and that's why Rocky 2 is so boring because for the first hour it's just like, hey, I'm famous now, and then like the fight happens. But like Rocky 3 is when you're the champ and you've beaten all these guys, and then you have to face someone tougher than you, and the whole point like
this motherfucker.
no, definitely not him. But the whole point in Rocky 3 is like those were hand-picked fights, Rock. Like they were all easy wins. He's like, what, they were fixed. He's like, no, you would have beaten them a million times out of 10. It's just like this guy's an animal. And that's the whole point of Drago. Like Rocky tells him, like, you're the champ. Like you beat some guys, but this guy again, he's something else. Like he's
gonna kill you to death.
Yeah, he's like, I fought this guy's dad, and he's probably wired the same way. He'll rip you apart if you face him. That's what happens.
This guy will whoop you like your father.
And then obviously the Rocky 4 element of the Drago story coming into play. So this being Rocky 5, like you said, like him mentoring someone because he had not necessarily, but not having a past with him is the point in Rocky. Like Tommy Gunn comes in and Rocky sees something in him and like wants to train him. But like this is like, I'll train you because I know we have history in Creed 3.
If y'all like the Rocky films, patreon.com/BlackRats. And y'all are fans of Patreon. Y'all are fans of Rocky films, of Creed films. Please let me know in the comments below. I have some thoughts
ideas.
There's one concept in particular in regards to the Rocky franchise that I want to do, but it would be interesting to see if there's people out there who are into it. Am I missing anything from the Creed film?
Well, put up the Creed 3 image collage. The one of the other one. The one of them.
This one? No.
We'll get that. That's how we'll end the show because it's again big week for
this one.
So again, like the stuff with the daughter. Yeah, that one. So the stuff with the daughter works, and like Tessa Thompson is good in like a thankless role as the supporting wife.
I wish there was some like a little bit more. I'm sorry.
And unfortunately, even she like when she has to be the one to motivate him after Felicia Rashad dies. And even like Felicia Rashad has more to do in this movie, but she serves a bigger part of like of like him not wanting to go down the path that Dame did. And
she's no Angela Bassett.
No, but it's a good like I want to try to do that, but this,
right.
It's a good attempt, as they would say. Yeah,
she tried it.
Because it especially works because she has the two scenes of the one in the kitchen. When he's like, he treated me more like a brother than your kids ever did. Like that was some tough. Like you took me in only because you felt guilty, not because you wanted to. And then at the end, when she basically has like the Agent Carter scene from The Winter Soldier, where she's like Apollo because she sees him, just like how Peggy sees Steve. It's like, Steve, you're back, after they just had a whole conversation 2 minutes prior.
But she was fucking like it was a rap, right? I'm gonna say this: there were two things. My pro wrestling brain, when I was watching this movie at the end of January. All right, Bola. You see it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But look at who's pointing at it, right? Not too long.
That whole scene though is good. It's like bad shoulder, boom. He's like I do like that scene once the training montage starts for the end, and Wood Harris again, who delivers in all these movies only for like 8 minutes. Like
right? No, yeah, Wood Harris is really good in these films.
He gets like 8 minutes of screen time, but puts up 8 points. Like he has a point a minute, pretty much.
But wait,
But
Drip.
Wood Harris is like, you've had a broken hand, broken ribs, how many concussions you got? And they show like all the times he was knocked the fuck out in the prior films. Like that whole scene was good of him picking him apart and during like his training session, and then the Creed training session going on at the same time.
I'm gonna break my normal. Anyway, fuck it. I saw this film on January 26th in the morning. It was a Thursday. A week before I saw this, Kenny King and Speedball Mike Bailey had a whatever Impact calls a pit fight. It was no ropes. They were just fucking. They was really
a blood sport match, basically.
Yeah, it was. They was on some Kumite shit in the ring. There was a point in this film where I saw Dame in his trunks. I was like, yo, he really looks like Kenny King right there. There was something about him, and I've been holding on to this for like 2 months. But
you're not wrong. Yeah,
I gotta rewatch. There's a specific. I kind of want to wait for the film to hit streaming. There's a specific frame. I was like, shit. Because I think I watched the film, and then I watched the Kenny King Speedball Mike Bailey match.
It was kind of like syncing.
And it was all hitting me at the same time. But it was something about the way that Kenny King looks in that match. And
he's wearing boxing trunks. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And it kind of have a similar.
It's not the same person, but it was a similar presentation. But
they have a similar body type and look and hair. Like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like,
it was the Bola, and the way he looked in that film. Like, shit, did pro wrestling break my brain to where all I'm seeing? Like, I can't wait to go. I'm everything I recorded March trip. I can't wait to be in LA with the squad and just I look at life as pro wrestling at this point. I can't imagine what it's going to be like IRL WrestleMania weekend with my squad doing random shit in California. These waffles looking like some fucking pro wrestler. Like, that's my life at this point. Everything is pro wrestling. But overall, 5 stars. What are you giving Creed 3?
I thought it was a 4 out of 5.
Where does it sit? Like, if you're ranking the Creed films,
like I said, it's 1, 3, 2. Haven't rewatched them. I'd say it's got a slight.
Really? You got 2. You got 2 after this film.
I initially like 4. 2 is kind of borders on 4. It's like I gave it a 3.5 on my Letterboxd. But it's like a 3. It's if I was gonna go full Meltzer, it's like a 3 3/4 Creed 2.
Right.
I say this is a 4 because even though again it's like, yes, give us more Tessa Thompson, like flesh this out a little bit more, like flesh the Dame stuff out a little bit more, but the performances still deliver. Like that's the thing with Jonathan Majors. Probably only had like he just like has so much to deliver as like this guy who's playing like someone else in the beginning to try to like again like be Snake like, and then when he goes full anime villain with the heel turn and he like punches him at the beach, he's like, come on, get up, stand up on your own for once.
Once he goes like
full
it's a wrap.
Yeah, he goes full. But until then, everything with him as like this vulnerable guy. Which also seems genuine, even though you find out like he has this agenda. It's like it does seem like he's this guy again. Like he's like, I lost time, I lost everything.
Yeah, I think there's always an agenda with Dame, but I think in the beginning,
it's real. Yeah,
it was. I think it started to turn sinister when he realized how close he was to actually realizing what he'd been dreaming for.
Well, and how much he actually has. Yeah.
But I think because at the end there's a dope shot which I don't think a lot of people talk about. We mentioned it in the trailer when we were watching the trailer
when they're separated in the.
Because I'm gonna say this: when you watch the trailer,
that's the shot.
When you watch the trailer, that's just a dope shot. But in the context of the film, where Creed is and where Dame is, and they're both when they both look over, because Creed's kind of like, this guy ain't fucking ready, and Dame's like, fuck you, I got this shit. And,
yeah,
and
he's actually, well, he's trying to like help him the whole time, and Dave only wants one thing, which is a shot at the title. It's like, how am I going to expedite that when you haven't had a fight? Like, I can't. It's like I can pull strings, but only so many strings can be pulled. So he does like, again, like this real like Vince Russo, like it was me all along, with like the nightstick breaking Drago's hand to then get this title shot, because he knows he can beat this guy because he's a dirty boxer. It's like, this guy's not going to be prepared to fight someone like me who doesn't care about winning the rounds. He cares about winning the fight, and he's
a dirty boxer. The dirt.
That's like, what he is. When he punches the arm deliberately, you
don't think
then he throws like the elbow. It's like, oh, like Wood Harris says, like he's not trying to box you, he's trying to fight you, and that's why at the end in the final round, he's like, you got to fight, because at the end, like that's all he wants you to do. Like that's the only way to beat him too. Like he plays the role of Dame, the character, so well, but then the role of like Diamond Dame, the boxer.
I will say,
like constantly like pulling up the trunks like this, and then going just like,
Jonathan,
his style. Like,
well, again, because I don't care what we're talking about. The name of this episode is Majors Mania. Like, because but think about it. Who else? No disrespect to Michael B. Jordan, anybody involved with Creed. If they didn't have Jonathan Majors doing his thing, this film would not have been what it was. Like you needed somebody who felt that dangerous while being that vulnerable.
Yeah,
but
I think that's all Jonathan Majors is. Every role going forward. 'Cause that's what Kane was in the movie. He's like, they exiled me because I'm trying to fix what they're
scared. They're scared of the fact that he's willing to do what they won't do, but it's because he knows what's coming.
He's like, their agenda actually is to let time destroy itself. I'm destroying it so it can be fixed.
Right.
He's like, they're creating loose ends, and I'm cutting those loose ends off. But he's like, and it's that thing like he's the villain while being the hero, not just to take it back to Killmonger and what Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler did with that, but because I'm not trying to give more credit to Peyton Reed and Jeff Loveness, because they did a good job. Facts, but they did a good job of Quantumania, even though the film again at times under delivers. But everything involving Kang does work. Like even all the scenes when it's just him and Janet. Like again, like I can. Like, that's why the scene we forgot to talk about it on the last episode, but like when he finally sees Hope and he goes, "Hello, Jelly Bean." Like again, he just like because he that's his version of "Hi, Auntie" when Killmonger was in the doorway.
Exactly.
Like, and that's why these two, and there's that quote going around that they want to team up and be De Niro, Pacino, and someone was like, "Those guys only made 4 films together," and I'm like, "You're actually kind of right." No offense.
I love that though.
I love it too. But
the fact that they're out there to say that, I want that. Let them do 2-3 more films, really on some real like Creed 3 type shit. Yeah, let's go.
Well, I understand what that person was saying. Like, it's one thing to say you want to be De Niro and Pacino when you look at like those guys again only made 4 films together, and the person's like, and one of the films they're not even in the same timeline because scene, one man's the father of the other man. So it's like,
hey,
but no, I know what they want. It's like how I said earlier, like it was obvious that Coogler sees something in Michael B. Jordan. Where
that's his guy, yeah.
No, but I mean, like from the start, was like this guy might not be the best actor like Jonathan Majors is, but there is something to tap into with this guy with his strength. His again, like the way he can be emotional in like a more not classically trained way. Like Jonathan Majors again, like student of the arts, where like I think that Michael B. Jordan like wants to be Tom Cruise. Like Tom Cruise at times could have been the best actor if he wanted to, but he wants to be the big movie star. It's the same thing with like Keanu Reeves. And I think that's the thing that Michael B. Jordan has in common with some of these other stars. Like he wants to be Michael B. Jordan, the movie star, who's also a good actor. Like he doesn't care about being the best actor. He cares about
facts. But I think like right here, when you like because this is Fruitvale. This is Coogler first film. This is, I mean, arguably Michael B. Jordan first like step out role. Like I think at this time right here, the hunger that they both have is very similar, and it's not. It's only different from a Scorsese De Niro because they're on different wavelengths. Like there's people who love De Niro that don't know shit about Scorsese, and vice versa. You know what I mean? There's people who love Scorsese and they could care less about a De Niro being in the room or in the role or not. I think in terms of career trajectory, Coogler and Jordan drink Coogler and Jordan linking up at the same time is beneficial for the both of them. Jordan needs a Coogler. He needs somebody who understands the landscape and will put him in these roles where you can do what you want to do and be the star you want to be, but also be in something that's going to mean something. And on the flip side, Coogler needs Jordan because without someone who's marketable, he's not going to be able to get in those positions where he's going to be able to do multiple Black Panther films. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a reciprocal exchange.
No, it definitely
there
is,
with
and
the two of
that's
them.
why the other part of Creed 3 as a whole is Michael B. Jordan as a director is like this is the town. Like when you see Ben Affleck make the towns, like Ben Affleck's like, I know I'm a star. Like I know I can be a really good actor at times. I know I can be really funny at times. I know I can be really serious. I know I can kick ass. Like, and only I know how to figure that out. No, like in the wrong hands, I'll look like an idiot. So if I control how I'm looked, then I can make myself the best version of myself. Like, you know, the whole point of like the town, like people were like, oh, there's the gratuitous shot of like Ben Affleck doing pull-ups shirtless with like his abs showing, but like he also directs the hell out of
shirtless, but I'm just kidding.
No, but like Ben Affleck also directs the hell out of Jeremy Renner in that movie. Like Jeremy Renner has the best role in the town of being the hothead friend who starts shit. And that's what that's what Jonathan Majors was doing. And Michael B. Jordan realized like there's much more for him to do in Creed 3, but Michael B. Jordan also wanted to finally put like a real focus on himself. Where like, let me show you I'm this guy for real. I'm going to give myself these powerful scenes. I'm going to give myself these awesome shots where I'm like standing on the edge of a cliff yelling into Los Angeles. Like I'm going to, you know, look the best. And it's a star making performance by a guy who's making himself the star in a way.
Right.
And that's what these guys who become directors after being stars do. Like Bradley Cooper basically did it with A Star Is Born. He's like, I know I'm a great actor and I'm going to teach myself to sing to show you how committed I am. And I'm going to direct. And it's like, I'm going to direct myself amazingly. Again, like I'm going to show you how hot I am shirtless. Again, like I'm going to show you things. Like I'm going to show you actually Lady Gaga is a really good actor. If you watch that film, Bradley Cooper was like determined to make her look like she was a really good actress. And that's the thing with these guys get so, I think it could be a 50-50 split of like looking out for themselves, but looking after everything too. Cause there are only so many few writer directors that actually work. Kevin Costner on like Bill Simmons podcast famously said that he was harsher on himself as an actor while he was directing himself, like in Dances with Wolves and anything he directed ever since. He was like, I gave myself too few takes because I wasn't trying to seem like I was the center of attention because I'm the star and the director.
That makes sense.
He's like, I was rushing to get my stuff done or not be focused on it too much. And you think about it too, where someone like Bill Hader directs himself and writes himself on Barry. Or Donald Glover, what he was doing on Atlanta, you know, that again, like the other kind of auteurism that Sam Levinson can't do, which is Sam Levinson can't be the star of the Idol, no matter how much
he can't be in front of camera, though, right?
Yeah. Or, you know, he can't be on Euphoria. He can't play Nate Jacobs like he probably wants to on Euphoria. But someone like Michael B. Jordan wants to show like, I can be a movie star if I'm showing you, because something like Without Remorse, he looks good in, but it's just like Michael B. Jordan's doing an action movie. It was that thing where like, it's I think that stigma of like what because he's not a strong actor, he has to kick ass, but like he looks great kicking ass compared to like him in Just Mercy, which is him trying to be a serious actor, and that may or may not work for him given his strengths as an actor.
Someone like Michael B. Jordan, you got to give them enough room to do what they do best, but not like it's like I don't want to. Terrible metaphor. Like they would say, you don't want to give them enough rope to hang themselves. Like you want to give them enough rope for he can.
It's knowing their limits. Yeah, that's why someone
really test the limits, right? But not get into a situation where he's doing too much. He's good, and I think he learned enough being Creed to where he can understand where I want these dope shots where I get hit in the stomach, and then all this perspiration hit my back and. The fucking women are screenshotting or whatever. Like that shit is dope.
Well, we're gonna put that image back up with like of the directors. Like this is a franchise shepherded by 3 black men. Like I don't think that's ever really happened in Hollywood. Again, it goes from Coogler to Cable Jr. to B. Jordan. Like it just, and he learned something from these two guys who I think have completely different styles. Even though now it seems like Stephen Cable Jr. will be heading in the Ryan Coogler direction by directing a big Hollywood film and Transformers,
right?
And maybe that's what he wants to do too, instead of like tell these intimate stories, because that's just how the Hollywood system works is whatever you did small, can you do that bigger? Like,
right.
And Michael B. Jordan is kind of doing both in this. I think that's why like he's so fixated on the family stuff in this film. Is like he wants to show you he can make a family drama, but then give you the spectacle of the boxing fights. So that's why it'll be interesting to see what he does. That's probably the cover for the episode. That's why I sent that. So.
That's right. No, I mean, but I mean, when you think about it, that this is really, it's a cover for the episode, but it's also the future. At the end of Creed 3, you're really like, damn, what's next?
Yeah,
what's next?
And for him too, outside of like, what's he going to do next as a director? Like he said, like I've been getting calls and I don't know what I want to do yet, but I know I want to still keep directing. And I think there are a lot of jokes where like he's actually going to make an anime adaptation of something because he's just such a fan of the genre that he'll try to maybe adapt Naruto to the live screen. If he took so much from anime to put in a real movie, he should just try to bring one to life.
No, facts. We'll see. Damn, Drip. Is there anything else?
No, I don't think so. No.
We got to get ready for Revolution. Is Danielson gonna win? No.
You know what? As of right now, I'll say yes.
You think we're really in a situation where, because that means that this, I'm gonna say this, and it's only for the Patreon. My question is, if Danielson wins the title tonight at Revolution, does that mean that the MJF run was a bust? Because that's a very
more so than the Hangman. Yes. Jeez. As we debated this past week on BR Black Wrestling Proper.
Yeah, this should be on the YouTube at some point.
I would say that if this is on YouTube, yeah. So depending on when you're listening, again, Patreon, YouTube, either way is fine as long as you're listening. I don't care which method you use. But to me, the whole time MJF's run has been dead. Whereas like Heyman Page, it started to turn sour after the Adam Cole feud ended because he already started at the highest point. He started at the peak with Danielson. And like I said, even though him and Adam Cole had a great match at Revolution, and in some ways it's like you can't top what you just did because look at what you started with.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good. You got to.
Whereas MJF is like the whole point of MJF is trying to build up to something, but it's like we see what you want to build to, which is a champion, a reign of terror, as he constantly was saying for weeks and weeks, and just kind of cut that out. So maybe there's a reason for that too.
That's a good point. Damn. That's really
and again, he's also maybe the personal stuff is gonna make him want to take a sabbatical. Given that there are reports that the fiance, there was legitimate like claims that he and his fiance are no longer together. So maybe will want to take some time away more so than he already has.
What's their bigger pay-per-view? It's All Out.
We had this discussion every single time we talk about an AEW pay-per-view. Some people will say it's Double or Nothing because it's first. Some people will say it's because it was the first ever one. Is what I'm saying. Some people will say it's All Out because that's like in the middle of the summer. Full Gear has actually kind of been where like again 2 big title changes have taken place.
Oh, actually, you said, can you do me a favor, Drip?
It probably is Double or Nothing, and then All Out's right behind it.
But like for BRP. Can you I don't know how to equate this. Like, is there a way to equate which pay-per-view series has been it's been the most impactful? Like, I don't know if it's in terms of like big debuts or title wins or whatever, but like,
oh no, it's Double or Nothing because that was the first one, and then that was the first pay-per-view they did right in the middle of COVID. They still ran Double or Nothing.
Is that their most lucrative in terms of like pay-per-view buys and stuff? Like, is that their WrestleMania?
I think it was because that's when CM Punk won the title.
Ah, okay.
And
that's the stuff I would like to see. Like maybe there's a question of
Nothing in 2021 was the first time they had people back in the crowd for a pay-per-view.
Like I wonder, like what's the like? Is there if there's a question of like which pay-per-view has the big like the yearly biggest impact, and then like if it's broken down based off of pay-per-view buys, like title wins or like most important story. I don't know how to break like how.
I say it's split between. I say it's Double or Nothing, then All Out, and then probably Full Gear, then Revolution. I'd say that's probably the order. You can't throw Forbidden Door in there yet because there's only been one, and that's just a cheat code more than anything.
Maybe. All right, maybe. How about this for a future White Noise? Maybe after. Maybe in between Double or Nothing and All Out. That's how it works. Is Double or Nothing?
We talked about this before, covering AW pay-per-views of the past. Yeah.
No, but
to do something like this, of cover all the history of Double or Nothing, all the history of All Out, and
you had me sending you the pay-per-views, and I'm wondering.
I still need them. Yeah, some of them. Yeah.
Well, offline, let me know what you need. I probably have everything, but I would like to have maybe. Towards whatever, what is it, Labor Day, Memorial Day, whatever All Out hits, if we can have that conversation, and maybe what's the dominant, what's the WrestleMania of AEW pay-per-views, because their schedule is totally different.
In a way, Revolution started in January. It seemed like they were going to try to link up where AEW was going to be right after a WWE pay-per-view, like
this would be their Starrcade.
Well, Revolution has gone. It started in January, then it went to February, and now it's in March. So it was supposed to be their Rumble.
Okay.
And then Double or Nothing is supposed to be their Mania. All Out is supposed to be their SummerSlam, and then Full Gear is their Survivor Series because it's in November.
They need one more pay-per-view.
Well, that's the whole point of Forbidden Door. But again, they try to make weekly television more important than. Which is why they'll do. Well, that's why they'll do Winter is Coming or Fighter Fest or Beach Break or.
If Forbidden Door, which is predicated on you having another federation being in on it, is your other pay-per-view, and the TV, which you could only watch on live TV, is the stuff that's supposed to fill in the blanks. It's tough to compete with. It's tough to compete even with a New Japan, because they got a whole app where you can go there, and if you miss something, that shit is right the fuck there.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's another. Let me.
Well, then you're also bringing up there's the whole ROH side of it now.
Well, shit. I'm not going to. Matter of fact, I got to give you the link. I got to give you the log.
You said but
I said. I mean, you
no,
you can watch.
But
I want to give you the link because I want. It looks like I got to put it on my Roku. But anyway, it feels like at a certain point, AEW needs some type of streaming service, because it's not saying it's going to get lost, but a lot of this shit is not going to have as much impact if people can't go back and watch and compare it to other shit. I don't know.
And that's where I talk about the messiness of him as an owner or booker, because he knows what he wants to do, which is dream matches and this and that, and I don't know if he is a victim of what's been going on with Warner Discovery, which is again that's why they have this all access show that, I said on BRP this week, was no, that's just them capitalizing on the Drive to Survive, the full swing of sports. Give us a behind the scenes version of the PGA Tour, give us a behind the scenes version of Formula One racing, and that's in Warner Discovery is the only thing that would make sense instead of this power slap, is if you show us what takes place after the wrestling show ends, the behind the scenes. And it's would that defeat the purpose in some people's eyes? Or do they actually want to know stagier drama? I mean, some people were criticizing it. I'm did you not ever watch Total Bellas? That was a lot worse than it needed to be. In terms of trying to sync storylines to this obviously scripted reality show. So.
No, that's actually an excellent point. I mean, I guess we'll figure it out, because that comes back soon, right? Or that starts soon, right?
It said March 29th, yeah.
Yeah, it's that end of the month.
And that's when Adam Cole returns, yeah. Because he said he was having his match on the night that show would debut after.
Are they going to be? They're not going to be in California, are they?
I can't remember where they announced that show was going to take place. I think they avoided being in California for Mania. No, that's why they're in California right now.
I was going to say, because everybody else is going to be in California.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are there any big shows happening in California during Mania?
Y'all gotta let me know. Yeah, there isn't going to be a PWG show, unfortunately. I think they bowed out, knowing how crazy it would be to try to compete.
I would like to see some dope non-WWE wrestling that week. But anyway,
I think I think GCW obviously is not just for the culture, all the circuit of shows they run
Right.
of, like,
No,
the
right.
different
Yeah.
brand. But I think like there's also West Coast Wrestling, which is like I think GCW on the West, like that might be having shows. I think that's where the Scorpio Sky match might be taking place, or is it that
Chris Bay out there?
I don't know.
I'm gonna hit up Chris Bay.
Chris Bay just wrestled on the Drip Show, so on the Wrestling Revolver Drip Show. So
Chris Bay is a whole champion right now. So
2 champ. Yeah.
I'm saying I'm gonna hit him up and see where he's gonna be at randomly. Hey yo, you gonna? How about this? Hey yo, where are you gonna be at the end of March? I would like actually. How about this? My only wish during Mania time is to get a picture with Chris Bay. Anyway, I'm at Cal on Twitter. at Black Rat. We got to get at Black Rats on Facebook and Instagram. BlackRats.com is a website. As always, you can find Black Rats on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, of course, YouTube.com/Black Rats, and where you're probably seeing.
Oh, real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
The final image of Pedro Pascal and
Oh no, you're right. No, you're right. My fault. You're right.
Because this is the week where my agenda, the agenda that Banks and I started of who's the MVP of the year so far, Pascal or Majors, and like this is the week where it all happened. Ant-Man's Quantumania is still at the box office. Creed 3 just made 100 million, and Pedro Pascal has The Last of Us on Sunday and The Mandalorian season 3 on Wednesday. It's like
this is the penultimate episode of the season of Last of Us.
I think so.
I think there are 9 episodes. So if this is episode 8, then yeah, it could be an important one.
But again, one man's playing protective father figure on TV
twice
on Prestige TV twice, and one man is playing vulnerable villain who might be the hero in 2 big studio movie franchises. So it's like they know the lanes that they like to stay in.
No, they know what they're doing. They know exactly.
Vulnerable villain and protective father figure. Like shout out to Pascal and Mate. Who's winning in your favor? Did you watch Mandalorian season 3 episode 1? No,
I'm not caught up on Mandalorian.
You haven't caught up yet.
No, I think I'm caught up on the Mandalorian, but I've not watched the first episode. But it's Jonathan Majors all day. It's fucking Majors main.
Yeah, because he's killing. I mean, they're both. Pedro Pascal had a really good SNL episode too. Like, a lot of those skits were really good.
The bit where Homegirl was cutting the meat,
the steak,
and the whole fucking table was that shit was. He was funny during that bit. Yeah,
I thought he was good when he was the Latinx mother. You know, when because the son brings the white woman home and she's like, oh no, and then until at the end when she's like to make the mom happy, she's like, can I say grace before dinner? She's like, she wants to say grace. Yeah, you didn't tell me she was a woman of religion. It's like
he's funny. No, he's a very funny guy.
Like Jonathan Majors had this great speech when Michael B. Jordan got a star on the Walk of Fame. Like you watch this 8-minute speech of a man telling another man like he's Hercules.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful. It's like.
Again,
it's Majors, but it's like to make it boxing. It's a split decision with Majors. It's like it goes 118 to 117.
I think it's one of those things where like Majors is bigger right now, but I think maybe
I think it's evenly matched, to be honest.
No, well, I'm gonna say this. Majors is coming from Marvel to Rocky. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I mean, yeah. What's
mainstream? That's big, but
if Creed was still under the Warner Brothers umbrella before,
it would be late.
It would be 2 in-house. No, it would be 2 in-house promotions going on because Disney versus Disney, and then once MGM got, I think they just didn't want to give Warner Brothers the distribution rights back to.
No, 100%.
I mean, MGM didn't want to give Warner Brothers the distribution rights back to. WB because they were co-produced the first 2 Creed films. They were Warner Brother Pictures and MGM, but when MGM went bankrupt and Amazon snatched that shit like you said and should be giving Michael B. Jordan carte blanche to do what he wants to do next, but it won't be without remorse because Paramount snatched that back because they sold Paramount
No,
and
right, yeah.
Paramount sold Without Remorse to Amazon for some change.
It's
and then they said we're gonna make the Rainbow Six film, not y'all, as we talked about a few weeks ago when Chad Stahelski was announced to direct it.
That was the thing about Paramount specifically. They're just, I mean, if you want to talk about
I mean Paramount Plus with Showtime.
I'm saying, like, you know, but they're just starting to kind of figure out what they need to do, and that's part of the fuckery. But either way, like at the time you're talking about, they were in much more dire straits. They didn't have the wins that they've been having, especially with Yellowstone and stuff like that. Their game has been
Kevin,
changing.
I forgot to say this on the episode in the last few weeks. Did you know Kevin Costner said, "I'm out of Yellowstone"? Did you see that news?
Wait, how was he? There's like 6 seasons of him, or 7 seasons.
No, this is the 5th season right now, and they said it's going to end after they film the rest of the 5th season because he wants to make. So he, sometime last year, he announced his first directorial feature in a while called Horizon, and it's an old timey, expansion western of like post Civil War to early 1900s or something like that.
Right.
And apparently he wants to make 3 films, each totaling 2 hours and 40 minutes. And he says he can't accommodate the shooting schedule of Yellowstone unless he shoots all his scenes in 1 week.
I'm good.
Even though that probably might be possible because Taylor Sheridan writes all these shows.
No, it could happen. It could happen, but I'm so A-okay on all of that. Like,
with the movie, with the Horizon? Yeah, I mean, as much as I do like Compton Kevin, it's probably not a hard fucking pass, but it might be a hard pass on these Horizon.
Bro, get that out of here.
Because one's like, the first one's going to tank because it's going to be a 2 hour and 40-minute Western with a $80 million budget, and they're not going to allow him the chance to make the second and third one, even though
Don't even make sense.
Even though I think he's self-financing like he did for Dances, and that's what got him an Oscar over Goodfellas, which is like, what? So what they try to do instead is like, all right, so we'll end Yellowstone, but we might remix it with Matthew McConaughey as the star, like they might try to move the characters over to a show where Matthew McConaughey is now the star of it instead, but they're not going to. They'll probably call it something blank, a Yellowstone story, like they have with the Year series, like the 1883s and the 1920s.
So good on all of that. Like,
this is your hard fucking pass, yeah. Like
what are we like? I've not even gotten into all the Yellowstone stuff. At a certain point, doesn't make any sense to me. But God,
real quick, the Jake Gyllenhaal of it. Like, there was just so much to talk about this week.
Well, no, Jake Gyllenhaal, he's a whole like MMA star at this point.
So I've known for a while that he's been making this Roadhouse movie with Doug Liman. So there's a good chance this movie will be awful, just because Doug Liman gets in his own way.
Okay.
Even though Doug Liman made Edge of Tomorrow, but like Edge of Tomorrow, they had to like reshoot that movie to save it. But Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be playing an MMA fighter who becomes the bouncer at a Roadhouse in like the Florida Keys or whatever. So they were shooting his UFC scenes at an actual UFC event this weekend. But famously, as we talked about with movies, film, cinema, when I broke down seeing Creed, that in 2015, I didn't give Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler benefit of the doubt. I thought Southpaw with my boy Jake G was going to be better than Creed. And it was not. Let me tell you,
it was not.
Southpaw is not good. It was co-written by the guy who created Sons of Anarchy, Kurt Sutter.
Wasn't Eminem in that?
He was supposed to be the star years before, but he wrote a song for it. Initially, he was supposed to be the star when it was in development, but he has since passed on it. But famously, I tweeted this yesterday that Southpaw came out before Creed, because Southpaw came out around the same time as Fantastic Four 2015. And that's when it was looking shaky for Michael B. Jordan. But he had Creed like in his back pocket to be like, just wait. Don't count me out yet.
Don't wait. Don't call me a piece of shit yet.
Yeah, like don't say I'm not the next chosen one like Hollywood to try and say. But in this GQ article to promote Creed, he was saying like, fuck Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, he's like, I know Jake Gyllenhaal got in good shape for Southpaw, but fuck him. Like, let me see if I still have the image.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, yeah. So this was It's also announced at this point in our evening that I asked him about Creed. He starts to tell me about getting into shape. Tomorrow he will give me the sober version. But this week Oh, this is the week that another boxing movie opened, Southpaw, a movie neither of us have mentioned up until this point. And this, somewhat surreally, is what Jordan says to me tonight as he faces me across the dinner table. This is Michael B. Jordan's quote. Physically, fuck Jake. Fuck Gyllenhaal. Fuck all that shit. We want to come for him. That might be a little bit of a pause. No, I don't like saying that, but in the context...
No, that's a little awkward. That's a little, even if you don't say pause.
Look better than him. You know I'm competitive. So in my head, I'm going to work harder than all of them. Fuck that. Which, I understand. Jake Gyllenhaal...
He's just trying to get in the grind mode.
But no, I tweeted this yesterday. The irony of Creed 3 opening, starring and directed by Michael B. Jordan, Jake Gyllenhaal got back in mad shape to be like, I'm a UFC fighter, bro. Come at. So like they have to meet. He was
in the octagon, like he did the weigh-in, but then he was in the octagon, like he's not playing around. What
I'm saying is, like Michael B. Jordan might have to direct like the spy movie where he fights Jake Gyllenhaal. Like
that's the ultimate. Or spy versus spy is Michael B. Jordan in a white suit versus Jake Gyllenhaal in a black suit punching each other.
Exactly. Jesus. Yeah, that might how this all ends because poor Jake Gyllenhaal. When we talk about Jake Gyllenhaal next month for Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, Jake Gyllenhaal wanted so bad to be like the actor's actor, and Hollywood just like chewed him up and spit him out. So he has to be like, and he has to force himself to be an action star, even though he definitely doesn't want to be.
That makes sense.
Like he did not want to do this Guy Ritchie movie to like shoot guns and be around explosions. Just like
That's
he does not want to be a UFC fighter in a movie. But they canceled his Leonard Bernstein movie because Bradley Cooper was going to write and direct one.
Dumbass.
And star in it. So.
But this is going to be a future episode of White Noise?
No, I'm just saying like this has, unless we write this movie, like
I think I realistically
is this the stereotypical Black Lightning?
I mean
White Thunder, like
I think it's or
White Thunder, Black Lightning. Like
I think it's just more a situation where who are the more dependable Hollywood stars? Like
no, they're both guys that like they couldn't open movies on their own, and like
they couldn't, but who knows?
One guy is a better Jake. I would say Jake Gyllenhaal is a better actor than Michael B. Jordan, but like
Jake needs the right project.
Yeah,
you can't do shit with shit.
It's tough being good looking guys in Hollywood, Cal. I don't know if you knew that.
No. Anyway, Drip. I told the people where they can find me. Where can they find you?
To hear more ramblings, even though I don't try to tweet as much because I gotta save it all for the show and Black Wrestling and whatever show I do outside of the BRP umbrella. Follow me on Twitter at Davis aka Drip, Instagram Davis Colm DC, Black Wrestling Proper every Thursday night on YouTube. Five mics of excellence. Mimi, Fam, Cal, Math, and myself. Black Wrestling on Patreon. That's how you're watching this early right now. Pay the $1, pay the $10. You'll get something in the works, maybe. I mean, if you saw at least 2 pair, I think I think being a patron might help with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that should be very soon. When this drops, I'm not gonna say too much.
No, it's not immediate. I'm just saying, like, if you saw that, then again, keep seeing that. Pay the $1, pay the $10.
Hopefully, you're paying attention.
And what else do we got? Again, Black Watch, Something Else, Reaction Podcast Club, Turnbuckle Talk every Tuesday on at Mimi Shell's Twitter Spaces.
Facts.
What else we got? What Bulls in the China Shop?
We just had an amazing episode the other day.
What Where's Buffy? Every Friday on BRP, and then every Wednesday
they did 3 hours the other night. That's crazy.
That's why I know we got to end now. I'm like, that's why I was saying, like, we don't need to do Off White because there's
I'm saying the Buffy was supposed to only be an hour. They did 3 hours. I didn't even mention nothing about that. But yeah, no, we should get out of it, especially because
Goat Watch. There's no Goss Watch, but there's a Goat Watch because John Cena's back on Raw tomorrow. But he just announced 2 movies. He'll be the voice of Rocksteady in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated film. But you know who was Rocksteady in the live action film a few years ago?
No, who?
Fucking Sheamus, remember?
Oh, God.
That's why he had that weird beard and hair at the time for that movie.
There were hella WWE stars at the
Nickelodeon Kids Choice Awards, yeah.
Shouts to Andrea. She a whole producer over there. There's mad WWE stars she booked over there. What was the other Cena news?
He's gonna be in a movie with Simu Liu and I think Awkwafina, directed by Paul Feig.
I did see that.
Which I would say, given the Aquafina-ness of it, I might not be looking forward to that as much, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. I'll watch it because of him, but yeah, that's definitely a.
I also think again might be an Amazon film. He might be Amazon's poster boy going forward. He's
had a couple of Hulu wins too, so we'll see. Anyway, shouts to Drip. Hopefully y'all peeped it. I'm gonna try and get this up super quick so we can have this up before fucking our revolution. Although it's already 2+. Anyway, thanks to y'all for checking this out. We'll catch y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.